We're back again with another stimulus check update for you for today, August 26th of 2020. And make sure you watch this video all the way through to the end of the video. That way you don't miss out on a special bonus that I have in store for you at the end of the video also as well. And today we're going to be talking about stimulus check 2 update on your direct deposit, those $1,200 checks. They're coming. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why. Stimulus check update today also as well. And what we're going to talk about, basically 3 things, 3 facts that should push Congress to pass more stimulus. And the White House wants to negotiate on a stimulus package, which they mentioned today once again. And Steven Mnuchin to testify in the House will push Democrats in the House of Representatives to bring forth a new stimulus deal also as well. So first up, we're going to talk about Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, to testify before the House C-word panel. Now, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin is set to testify before House lawmakers next week, as reported in The Hill, amid stalled C-word sickness aid negotiations between the White House and congressional leaders. Mnuchin will testify on Tuesday before the House Select Committee on the C-word sickness crisis, chaired by Representative James Clyburn, a Democratic rep from South Carolina. The hearing will examine the urgent need for additional economic relief for children, workers, and families, and the administration's implementation of key stimulus programs passed by Congress earlier this year. The subcommittee had said that in a statement. The hearing will mark Mnuchin's first congressional testimony since negotiations on a new round of federal stimulus aid collapsed earlier this month between the Treasury Secretary, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Okay, so now we have something interesting here, where the White House is reiterating their wanting to negotiate on a new stimulus package and wanting a deal also as well with Nancy Pelosi. And this is coming from the White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows. So basically, if it's coming from the White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, it's basically coming from Donald Trump himself. So we're gonna basically share what Mark Meadows had to say today. And I find it kind of interesting that because he's continuing to go in the media and mention his desperation and the White House's desperation for a new stimulus package here once again. So let's hear a little of what he had to say real quick.
Now, you and I have spent untold amounts of time speaking about congressional negotiating strategy and internal Capitol Hill politics, so I want to shift to that because we are in the midst of trying, as a government and us reporting on these negotiations, trying to cobble together some sort of COVID relief package. I'm wondering if you have had any conversations with Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer in the last couple weeks since these negotiations broke down.
We haven't. As you reported, I think that Secretary Mnuchin reached out to Speaker Pelosi. Originally, I think she said, well, if you'll meet us in the middle or cut it in half. We thought that might be an opening to open up the negotiations. She quickly changed that to say, no, she really meant I guess the 2.4 trillion dollar package, but it's really without any guardrails or parameters. I mean, what she said to us in the room is, you give us the amount of money, we'll tell you how we're going to spend it. That's not how negotiations happen. Even if you're successful, that's not how they happen. We've reached out. I actually had my staff reach out again yesterday to Speaker Pelosi's chief of staff to say that we haven't heard anything from her. And so I don't anticipate that we'll actually get a phone call. I probably have had more, not only good conversations, but very productive conversations with Democrats on Capitol Hill, both on the Senate side and the House side, probably more on the House side, just because I know a lot more of my former colleagues. And a lot of them want a deal and are being very, very reasonable in their request. I think if we got back in the room with some of their priorities, we could cut a deal. The president wants to do that. But I'm not optimistic. I think the speaker is going to hold out until the end of September and try to get what she wants in the funding for the government during the CR or whatever funding mechanism happens to come up at the end of September.
Now, let me just follow up really quickly because we're quickly running out of time here. But you reached out in the hopes of restarting negotiations, it sounds like.
Well, listen, we've had some good conversation with Democrats on Capitol Hill. I think there's some common ground. I'll have a call with senators. We're having a call every morning with Republican senators. I think in fact, I know they want a deal and they're willing to make compromises. But it's really been Speaker Pelosi really driving this train as the conductor more so than anybody. And I think she talks privately that she wants a deal and maybe even publicly that she wants a deal. But when it comes to dealing with Republicans in the administration, we haven't seen a lot of action. In fact, we've seen no action.
So that's what White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows had to say today about the negotiations. And he's mentioning again, we went through this in several of our videos. If you've been watching our videos, our recent videos, we've been bringing up what Chief White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows has been saying time and time again, day after day, that the White House and Donald Trump want a deal with the Democrats on a stimulus package. Now, what I took out of that is that, Mnuchin had reached out to Pelosi, which he did. We went over that in a previous video also as well, by phone, and Nancy Pelosi flat turned him down. No deal, pretty much is what she said. Pelosi said to cut the bill in half, referring to the HEROES Act, because Pelosi is diehard on this HEROES Act. That's what she's holding out for, which she knows that will never get passed through the Senate, and that would never get signed by the president either. But she changed it to $2.4 trillion without parameters, Mark Meadows said. So basically, he's talking about she wants the money, but she's not going to say how the money will be spent. Okay. Again, he also mentioned, he said, quote, "I don't anticipate getting a phone call from Pelosi." So Pelosi is showing no interest in negotiating with the White House or Republicans right now. He said the president wants a deal. And he also said that Pelosi may wait until the end of September to make a deal. And he said it's up to Pelosi. Now, if you watched yesterday's video, you remember we went over the article where Pelosi stated that she believes it's up to President Trump and his administration, right, to get a deal done. So I don't know what it is, Nancy. Only thing I could think of Nancy doing is holding out for the HEROES Act, okay, and waiting for the phone call from the White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, with that voicemail saying, "Okay, yeah, you win. We'll take the HEROES Act." And then she just picks up the phone and says, "Oh, did you say you wanted to agree to the HEROES Act?" and then we have a deal. Is that her dream? Well, I don't know. I really, Nancy Pelosi, if you're listening, are you watching this video? I really hope this works, because if this does not work, you are really disappointing millions of Americans out there. Okay, you are hurting millions of Americans by holding out on a dream that may not never happen. Okay, you should have took some of the deals that the White House offered you. Maybe we would have got our stimulus checks by now. Maybe we would have got our unemployment extended by now. Maybe we would have got a lot of things done had you taken a deal for one of the deals that Mark Meadows or Steve Mnuchin had offered you. Okay, but if you don't take a deal, and this whatever holding out for the HEROES Act thing that you're doing does not work, Nancy, you're gonna have millions of Americans angry at you. Okay, so I know you think that by giving Trump a deal and passing stimulus checks is going to help Trump win, but hey, if you don't do it, it may still help Trump win anyway, because everybody's going to be pointing the finger at you. Okay, so but moving on, because I'm kind of getting tired of dealing with Nancy Pelosi right now. Stimulus package negotiations, as you all know, have stalled. Right, but there's these three facts that should push Congress to pass more stimulus. Okay, and basically, fact number one is the airlines are threatening mass layoffs. Okay, this was reported by Forbes today. At the onset of the virus and corresponding shelter-in-place orders, airlines, they saw their business crumble overnight. So in response, the government provided the companies with $25 billion in aid to ensure operations continued even as travel dispersed. I believe they're talking about previous legislation that was passed. A caveat of the aid restricted airlines from making major staffing changes through September. That deadline is nearing an end, and airlines have begun to warn that major furloughs and layoffs are on the horizon. On Tuesday, American Airlines announced that it would lay off 19,000 workers, including flight attendants, pilots, and technicians, starting October 1st. The announcement follows other airlines that have signaled similar moves. United Airlines said it might need to furlough 36,000 employees this fall, while Delta Airlines has said it could furlough nearly 2,000 pilots in October. Now, fact number two, the threat of a double-dip recession is rising, and nearly two-thirds of economists surveyed by the National Association for Business Economics for its semi-annual report on the economy said that the U.S. has not escaped the recession. Along with those figures, 80% of the responding economists said there's still a 25% chance that the U.S. sees a double dip towards a second recession after the economy recovers. Just over half of respondents said the optimal package for the next round of stimulus will come to $1.5 billion. Fact number three, consumers are showing concern. And one of the best signs to determine how people are feeling about the economy is to look at whether or not they're confident in spending their cash. So based on this indication, consumers aren't yet out of the woods. The Consumer Confidence Index, which is a survey measured by the Conference Board to determine how consumers feel about the economy, found it's at its lowest level in 6 years. The August figure marked the second straight month of decline. This counters consumer spending, which had ticked up in May and June, but that's likely due to the fact of the stimulus checks and higher unemployment benefits, where people had more money. July numbers could provide the first glimpse at what consumer spending looks like without more aid. If they're weak, who knows? It might convince Congress to make a move, or they could just further revert into their own reality. So that's what I got for you there. Tons of good news there, folks. I mean, I think the best news of today's video, in my opinion, is Stephen Mnuchin set to testify in the House of Representatives Select Committee, okay, to push the House Democrats to bring forth a stimulus bill, because basically he's going to present the case to the House Democrats, which I don't see. I don't know. I mean, I guess that part is unnecessary because the House Democrats already know that there is a need for stimulus. But I mean, that's why they passed the HEROES Act back on May 15th. But I mean, by Steve Mnuchin being in there, right, he's pretty much representing the Republicans, okay, on behalf of Mitch McConnell in the Senate, okay, and maybe partly the White House and Trump too also as well, okay. So if he's there, he's basically making the case that yes, Americans need more stimulus help, families need help, people are facing eviction, people need extended unemployment because the president's executive order on unemployment extension, that $300 or $400 a week, maybe may not last all but maybe 5 weeks or even 3 weeks. I read some articles that said 3 weeks, some said 5 weeks. Okay. One article said a little longer than that because President Trump somehow found some extra money, over $100 billion that was not spent, that was passed by the CARES Act back in March. Okay, which the president can do. He cannot create new money because the Congress has the power of the purse, but he can take money that's left over somewhere from some legislation that was passed before, and he can move that money around to somewhere else. Okay, so I think that's that's the best news of this video today. Steve Mnuchin, because that really gives a lot of people a lot of hope right there. He's presenting the case to the House Democrats, and maybe they will continue to pressure Nancy Pelosi. I mean, you have over 117 Democrats that have pressured Nancy Pelosi, her own colleagues, high-ranking Democrats also as well, and she's not listening. Okay, they're telling her, Nancy, take a deal. Nancy, let's pass something to help Americans while we're passing this little stupid post office bill. Okay, they said that before they did the vote on Saturday for the post office bill, and they gave $25 billion to the post office. What did they give to Americans? Nothing. What did they give to the homeless? Nothing. What did they give to the unemployed? Nothing. What did they give to those families that are hurting out there, where they have 29 million children that did not have enough to eat last week? Nothing. Okay, but yet still you want to give the post office $25 billion. Okay, I see who's the real party of the people now. Okay, but that's all I got for you folks. And remember to join our free Facebook group. Again, free to join. Just see the link in the description, the down arrow here. While you're in there, see other links for free money and other helpful resources. And from all of us here at the How to Get an 800 Credit Score family, stay safe, be blessed. We'll see you in tomorrow's stimulus check update video. Bye for now. My name is Lyndon Baptiste, and on this channel we talk about ways to increase your credit score, build credit, and get approved for the lowest payments on mortgages and lines of credit, travel the world for free, earn extra money with cash back. And if that interests you, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. That way you'll never miss a single video as we make them. See you tomorrow.